The Xbox Series S is a digital console that a lot of people overlooked. It's small and pretty cheap or affordable depending on how you look at it, but the Series S has a lot going for it. It's highly compact, can play AAA games, has a pretty fast SSD storage that can load games pretty much instantly, and is a gateway into Xbox Game Pass. However, with competition that includes the Xbox Series X, PS5, and the new Switch OLED, should you buy the Series S in 2021? Watch the video to find out now. Design. The Series S is a compact and clean gaming console. I was pretty shocked when I took it out the box at how light and small it was. The Series S weighs just 4.25 pounds, and to make an iPhone analogy, the PS5 would be like the Pro Max, and the Xbox Series S is more like the 13 mini in terms of size. It's the console you'd want to buy if you're constantly on the go, connected to different displays, or if space is an issue. I overall like how the console looks with its white and black theme. It looks modern and sleek, but not too futuristic like the PS5. It can easily fit under my monitor stand, and I tuck it away when I need the space. It also has a lot of ventilation to let out the heat, and I rarely hear the fans go on. It's whisper quiet. Controller. The controller of the Series S is pretty much the same experience that you get with the controller of the last gen Xbox. The biggest change here is that there is now a dedicated button for sharing content and clips. It also has a USB-C port for wired connectivity and a headset jack for plugging in headphones. The controller feels good in the hand and is the right amount of chunk due to the solid build quality. My fingers wrap around it and I can use the controllers for hours without feeling any wear. The controller does add to a great gaming experience with the Series S. Haptics and vibrations are on point, and it's pretty dynamic as well. For example, if you're playing a racing game and you go over grass or dirt, the vibration changes depending on what you're driving over, and that's pretty cool. Controller also allows you to change what your buttons do in the Xbox system and allows you to add profiles as well. So that's pretty sweet if you're sharing your console with other people and you're very picky. My biggest issue with the Xbox controllers is that it uses AA batteries. I have rechargeable batteries and I pop them in from time to time, but it's annoying because look, it's 2021 and you'd think they'd switch to USB-C for charging without needing a rechargeable battery pack that costs you an additional $24.99. The battery life on the controller is pretty good though and lasts up to 4 days in my testing with the headset plugged in. Gameplay. The Xbox Series S has pretty good specs. The Series S features an 8-core AMD processor running at 3.6 GHz, a 512GB solid-state drive, 10 gigs of RAM. It also has a target resolution of up to 1440p, but it can upscale to 4K resolution, and it gives you up to 120 frames per second. That may be gibberish to a lot of people, but what I can say is that the Series S is a breeze to use. Navigating the OS is smooth, launching apps and games is super quick, and the instant play feature is awesome. This means that you can quickly snap between games and start playing with little delay, even if the console was turned off. A major deal breaker with the Series S is the fact that it does not have native 4K, like the Series X or the PS5. But to me, this does not make a difference. I play all of my games on an LG 4K display with FreeSync, and I thoroughly enjoy the level of detail I get with the Series S. It may not be the best, but for $299, the games look amazing and it doesn't really ruin my experience. With that said, if you're a sucker for graphics and want the absolute best, you may want to get the Series X. This is a clip recorded from my camera of the gameplay, and as you can see, things look really great. Another thing to know about the Series S is that there is no disk drive. That means that you will not be able to buy a disc from a game store and play it on the Series S. You also cannot have a non-digital game library. Now for a lot of you, Trading games is still the best way to afford new games, so this might be a deal breaker for you. But for me personally, having no disk drive is great as one, it keeps the console small, but more importantly, I never really liked having discs anyway, and I also prefer digital content as it just feels more convenient. Even with my old Nintendo Switch, I never once bought a game cartridge and I had that thing for years. Storage. The S in Series S does not stand for storage. The base model comes with 364 usable gigs out of the whole 512GB SSD. That means that all of your games, apps, and downloads will only have 364 gigs available to use. That is not a lot. For example, Forza 5 comes in at over 100 gigs, and other games like Warzone are 70 to 80 gigs. If you're gonna pick one of these up, it's not gonna hurt you to have an external storage device, such as a Samsung T5 that I use or the Samsung T7. Using an external SSD will allow you to actually move and store games without using the storage on the device. This has been a handy feature to have, and typically I keep a couple of games on the console and the rest on the SSD. Important to note though is that you can't play and store titles, so keep that in mind. And what I mean is that you can only store the titles if you're using certain solid state drives, but you can't play from an SSD. Speaking of extra storage, Seagate makes a 1TB expansion card that goes into the back of the console, and that would be faster than using any other SSD, but it's really expensive, so I didn't buy it, and at that point, you might as well just buy the Series X. Ports. The Series S, while small, has pretty much all of the ports you need for gaming. It has a power port, an Ethernet jack, 2 USB-A ports, an HDMI output port, and the storage expansion slot that I mentioned, Game Pass. Now, a huge reason for me even buying the Series S was Game Pass. Game Pass is pretty much the Netflix of games and allows you to digitally download games from a massive library. Game Pass also allows you to nab the latest Microsoft and Bethesda games on launch day without needing to pay extra. The Ultimate plan also comes with Xbox Live for playing online. With that said, you can basically buy the Xbox Series S and play hundreds of games for such a great price. This in itself makes the Series S worth it, especially with all of the new games coming weekly to Game Pass. I honestly think that this is the future of gaming, and I'm excited for more content coming. Is it worth it? So now, the final question everyone is wondering, is the Series S still worth it in 2021? Look, the Series S has a lot of stuff going for it. You can just tell from my video so far. It is such an affordable price that it's really a no-brainer if you're somebody that perhaps is a casual gamer or even a heavy gamer that doesn't really need the best specs. You might even be someone who travels a lot and wants to game on the go. The Series S will be perfect for you. The Series S at $299 is the perfect gateway into Game Pass, which I think answers that question alone if it's still worth it. Now, while the Series S is seen as the little brother of the next-gen consoles, it punches above its weight class. The greatest thing about the Series S is that I've never noticed any slowdowns or hiccups, and it's probably been one of my best purchases in a long time. Okay, so that wraps up the review. If you have any questions, make sure to drop it down below. If you found the video useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel. I appreciate it and it helps the channel grow. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.